Hello, everyone. Welcome to Trident Communications talk show, The Success Stories. I'm Alka, and I would like to introduce you to our guest for today, Krishna Pujara, CEO, and Saheli. She is the chairperson of All Ladies League in the UK, president of UK India Business Council of WICCI, and chairperson Wing, National Congress for Gujarati Organizations UK. To know more about her journey, let's welcome her to our show. Welcome to our show, Krishna ji, and it's a pleasure to have you here today. How are you?
I'm good, and it's a pleasure to be with you, actually.
And thank you so much for taking out time for this episode of Success Stories, and it's a really great thing for us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for considering me, and I really appreciate to be part of the success stories.
You're welcome. And yeah, let's begin with the questions since you are here and we read something about you on the intro, but we would like to know more about you from yourself. So please tell us something about yourself.
Right. What can I say about myself? Well, yes, I came here at a very, very young age from Africa. And I believe as a woman, we can do a lot. And I think that has always been my ambition since. And I'm happy to share more if you want to know.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. What would you like to know?
So, since you are into social activities, what got you there?
Okay, basically what it is I came at a very young, very, very young age, and I was studying here. And when we came, as you know, that about 45 years ago, there wasn't much about ethnicity in this country.
Mhm.
So together with the family, I grew up because obviously my parents always wanted to maintain that we sort of always raise awareness about our culture and sort of make sure that we don't forget our roots, even if we live foreign land. So one of the thing that really motivated me from the family was to always promote culture within the society. So they started off like meeting at homes because there never used to be mandir or centers or anything. So they would hold meetings in Tamil and different languages, and one led to another, and all everybody they started opening community centers where they would meet once a week. Then the cinemas started coming up because they used to be all English films. So they started promoting English Hindi movies, and then it led into promote inviting figureheads from abroad to sort of come and chant and sort of develop our activities and culture. And I think it has been going. And I think while I was growing up and studying, I also joined into the activities and I learned from there in terms of promoting arts and culture in this country.
All
So I
right.
would like invite actors and dramas and everything to come over and host shows. And it was quite interesting, actually. It was like we have the ladies would meet, go bhaji on the beach type of coach tours. And amazing, amazing experience. I'll tell you, a good network was built at that time because there were only very few of us. So you can imagine, yeah.
Yeah. So, as you are the CEO of Saheli, tell us something about your organization.
Okay, Saheli. Saheli is a women organization. It means a female friend in
Yeah.
English. And that was developed way back in 90s. I think, like I said earlier, there were cultural barriers, language barriers at that time, and a lot of migrant women were coming in, migrant people were coming into this country. And a lot of people faced depression because obviously to settle into this host country and not being able to sort of integrate within the wider communities was a dilemma for them. And a lot of people ended up having depression, and through that they went through mental health needs. And I think this is the time when a few of us got together, a few women got together to see what can happen, what can they do to help them get integrated within the community and get the support that they need. So they started off with ESOL classes, making sure that there is a group that meets regularly to and discuss the issues of isolation, loneliness, and how learning a language would help them move in there. And through a little group, it became a bigger group. So it has been going on. And over the years, what we have done is now obviously adopting to the needs of the women. So initially, it was an organization which was set up by Asian women for Asian women. But over the years, obviously, we have maintained the name Saheli, but it is now open to all women. We have an open door policy, and we do not stop anybody from accessing our service. Any women, whoever wants to develop their dreams, whoever has got concerns about their life or any support that they need, we have open doors for them, and it's all free services.
Okay. So this sounds really fun and interesting. Like you get to meet new people and interact with a lot of people. But is there any kind of a challenge or any barriers that you faced in this profession?
So in life, there's always challenges. You can never move forward without any challenges. So there has been a lot of trials and tribulations in terms of moving ahead, and you overcome them. Because for me, challenges have always been more sort of positive for me. I've always wanted to sort of, if someone would say something that I'm not able to do, then I would like challenge them and make sure that I want to do things to show that yes, I am capable, not because I'm a woman that I cannot do it. And I think it has overcome challenges. And even now, we all go through challenges in life.
So yeah, this is an organization for women and it is led by women. And the biggest challenge that you had to face was that because you are a woman and that you overcame that. So that is a really nice thing.
Oh, I'm still going through challenges, believe me.
Yeah,
In this male-dominated society, challenges are always a part of life, but you do something to make a difference to somebody's life, and that's what really is the outcome we always look for. So even though while I talk to you, we are still sort of fighting for gender parity, making sure that women are treated equally, making sure that women are paid equal compared to the men sort of in this society. And it's quite inspiring actually at the same time.
it's true. So, as it is said that behind every successful man, there's a woman. So, in that similar way, like in behind your success, who would you like to put up as an inspiration or a motivation? Who supported you the
My
most
mom,
during the journey?
my mom.
Okay.
Mom, moms are always the best. I think when we grow up, we know we pick up all the right values and the good values from your mom and your dad as well. Because my dad was a very, very strong man and he always wanted things to be the best for his children. So I've learned quite a lot from him. And I think my strength has come from my dad, and my inspiration has come from my mom. So I would say both of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So, as you said that these activities are free of cost for the women who join there. So, is there any support that you get from the government, or are there people who support you in your foundation?
Right. Basically, Saheli is a charity developed for supporting women fleeing domestic abuse, women going through vulnerable stage of their life, to make sure that they're supported and given the support that they need to move on into the next phase of their life. So nothing comes free. Obviously, it's a free service provided to these vulnerable women, but obviously it is funded by the government by other funding authorities to make sure that that support is available, because we have to employ professional staff to make sure that they give the perfect advice and the support that is needed. So we have got a number of counselors who give continuous therapies to women. We have got mental health support worker, we have got domestic abuse support worker, we have got project support worker, admin, finance, everything. You have to have staff in place to make sure that the support is ongoing for all these women. At the same time, we also have a drop-in center, because what happened was over 30 years ago, because this Saheli was started in 90s. So
Mhm.
30 years ago, when it was set up, there were women who had gone through a lot of depression and developmental health needs. So obviously, some of them have moved on in their life and they got employment and still sort of depending on medication, while some women have still stayed on with Saheli because of their health needs. And over the years, the health needs have now changed. We all know that through social care, women, not only women, but people are living a lot longer than what they used to in the past. So now people live a healthier life till later. But while people are getting older, their social needs are changing. And their health difficulties are also difficulties for women. So what happens is the women that have stayed on in our service not only her mental health, but it is now changing into dementia, Parkinson's, and some women have got physical illness, and some women also have terminal illness. So we have adopted our services to meet their needs, to make sure that they continue to receive that. Now, during this pandemic, I mean, obviously, our services have been very high in demand. So domestic abuse has been at a very high rise, which we provide the service to. The mental health needs, because of loneliness and isolation, a lot of people have started developing mental health needs. So we have had to increase our services to make sure that we reach out to all these vulnerable women. And then obviously loneliness and isolation has been the biggest criteria. So we have increased instead of 1 day a week activities that we do on Fridays, we have now increased it to 3 days a week. And we all know that breathing is very good for your lungs, because pandemic is. So we got breathing classes on Tuesdays, then we got cooking demonstration, because people, when they stay at home, they want to start cooking, start learning different recipes. So we have got cooking demonstrations. We invite professionals from outside to come and talk to our ladies to see what is good for them, how to maintain their hygiene while they're at home, and how they can progress in life. So we are very pleased that just before pandemic lockdown, we had actually trained a lot of our women using iPad and smartphone training. And this really helped them in terms of joining onto Zoom classes, and never realized that when they were going through training in December last year, that this year would become change their lives totally by totally digital sort of usage of Zoom and Microsoft Teams and WhatsApp. And they become more and more sort of, proactive and more confident in terms of integrating within the community. So it's that little difference we make goes a long way.
Okay. So, since your organization, that is Enfield Saheli, is working towards fighting domestic violence, forced marriages, trafficking, and female genital mutilation,
Yeah.
are there any unforgettable stories or cases that you would like to share with us?
Oh, there are lots of them, lots of them. I'll tell you one thing. Oh my God, yeah. We maintain total confidentiality within our service. So even in our activities, if you see one woman sitting next to another one, they would not know what services they're receiving from us, because that is how it is. Our culture is such that women don't like to share their stories in front of everybody, because they're worried of sharam, izat or shame, or they don't want other people to know, because they think, oh my God, there's something wrong. What if they go and talk to somebody else? So one of the biggest setback that we have had is people, if they've got somebody going through mental health problems, they would not want the other people to know. Even their own relatives, they don't want to know. And then there is another thing is domestic violence. And if they've left their partner or something, they hide it, because they don't want the community to know, because they always feel that it's always a woman to be blamed and not a man. It is not always a woman, and it's not always a man. It can be a shared thing as well. So what we, in terms of sharing cases, what can I share? Right. This morning we have had a 16-year-old who has been
Yeah.
attacked in the park and has been raped. So giving you a case study is, obviously the mother was really, really distraught when the daughter went home and told her mom. that this is what has happened. So obviously the police is involved, and immediately when that happens, we get connected straight away, and a lot of interviews go on, because obviously on the spot, because the girl who has had this difficult situation would have to be then interviewed, would need to be examined by the doctors, specimens to be taken. So there's so many photographs to be taken. So while the daughter is being supported by the professionals, then there is this extended family, like not extended, but the immediately next of kin, the mother, who obviously was shattered. So she needs the support. So one of our counselor would step in and make sure that she's comforted, while also look after the father and the siblings and see how they can. And so many things go into process. But that I don't know if I should have shared this story, but that is still just started. So I think I'll hold this here. I'll give you a story about a case study about a young lady who got married and came to England on a spouse visa. And she had actually been divorced in India. So this was her second wedding. Sadly, like obviously she had had the trauma back home to sort of go through divorce, and coming to stay into a different country with her husband, giving up everything in India to be here. Now, obviously, within the few months, she became a victim of domestic abuse from her husband, because it seems like the husband was made to marry her by his parents, but he was not ready to get married. So the abuse started, and he started telling her that, oh my God, you are very ugly. I don't like you. You're not earning anything. I am earning everything. And they, when we say abuse, it means like, undermining her, controlling her, not giving her money. And that went on and on for over a year. And this impacted on her life. And when she went out, because she doesn't know anybody in this country, she's very, very new. Went to the temple, and she met somebody. And by that time, somebody picked up that she was having mental health needs, because the impact of being told all the time that you're useless, you're not worthy, you're not good looking, and all that, that really put her down. And so then she was approached to our service. And this happened like 2 years ago. And obviously we started like doing the work with her. And believe me, she was saved, because if she had not really had the support at the time, she would have been really real severe mental health needs. But she overcame that after continuous counseling for 6 months. And then we introduced her to some training courses to sort of start living. And we made sure that she found, rehoused her away from the perpetrator. And now she's actually a volunteer for Saheli, and she's become an ambassador for cancer awareness with Saheli. And she's doing amazing work. And I'll tell you something, if we talk to her, she is so happy that her life has totally changed, because at the time when we met her, she just wanted to kill herself. She said she was not worth nothing, and why she was going through it. And like she said, it's my second marriage. Why does it happen to me? First time I was unlucky. This time I thought I was moving into UK, I would be happier. But this is what it is. Like, I think one case is enough, isn't it? I can
Yeah,
share so many stories I can share.
it's a very difficult job, you can say, if we talk about it in that sense.
Mm.
Although it is very fun and interesting interacting with new people, but saving lives, it takes a lot to do that, to convince somebody to be able to live again. So
Yeah.
kudos there.
No, definitely. Like 2 days ago, we had an emergency call from a lady. She's saying that, oh my God, we're within a house, somebody had died, and she was like screaming her head out, saying that, oh, please help me, this one has died. So obviously, our emergency support would immediately call the police, because we wanted to see what had happened to the lady. So our outreach worker started making arrangements to go and visit the lady. At the same time, alerted the doctor, police, and by the time they all went there and knocked on the door, there was nobody there. So they wondered what happened. So they waited and they called the lady. She was not answering the phone. So they got really worried about her. So they had to have the special permission to go into the house. And when they went in, the woman was sleeping. and there was nobody dead in there. And they realized that she had severe mental health issues and nobody was aware about. So, this type of things happen. And this is where Saheli steps in to make sure that we make a difference to their life and supporting them. Yeah.
It's I'm just really glad that we could have you today on the show, because I don't think there would be any other way that we would find out about things that are happening on a daily basis and people do not have any idea about it.
This is it, yeah. And that's why Saheli comes in when they are needed. And we don't talk a lot about this because it's a confidential service, so we can't even discuss about it. And things are happening, it's not always rosy and like, oh, great, this is life. No, people have difficulties, but we have to accept that there is always two sides of life. One is the best life, and one is where people are struggling,
Yeah.
Right. So even right now, with the pandemic, another example that we are having right now is our services have a very high demand for counseling. The reason being, we have got a waiting list. Now, what has happened was initially during the pandemic, when a lot of people died and their families were protecting themselves because obviously everybody was worried about saving their lives. So they didn't want to talk about this bereavement or anything, and like just being safe was the idea. So now, as the lockdown eased and people started coming out of it, that thing really hit them in terms of like coming to reality that they've had a bereavement and they've lost somebody. They've like some of them had funerals and some of them happening now. So that really gives a shock in the system, and they really need support because some people cannot deal with it, and that's where our counseling support comes in. And our counselors are trained therapists, and they do make a difference to somebody's life.
So, since you have been working for women empowerment day and night, how would you like to define women empowerment?
Oh my God, empowerment is a very, very commonly used word in terms of empowered. It depends on how you empower, or in terms of how you make sure that they get the support they need at a very difficult time to move on. So it's not always about women that you are going through difficulties need to be empowered, because there are also women who are just going through the initial stages of life. So we get a lot of young women who are not sure about their career or something. So we have a career counselor who would sort of sit and talk with them and help them in deciding what they need to do. So that's also a part of an empowerment. So there are different ways of empowering. It's not just very, very vulnerable women. So that's one side of our work. Yeah. Then there's another side is supporting and empowering women that want to do something to change their life or to develop their life. So that's another way. And another is our strapline is empowering women to make informed choices. So we give them choices. It's up to them to decide what they want to do. Because obviously, you give them a lot of options, but you can't force them to do anything they do not want to. So it's always an option for them to decide. And believe me, some of them don't like the options, and then they end up going into difficult stages. Then they come back to us and they say, "Oh, I wish I'd listened to you." So there are times we have women who are fleeing domestic abuse and said they can't live with the partners. So we support them and put them in our supported housing called Refuge for Women. They stay there for a little while, they get the support, and then they run back to their husbands, because obviously they are so used to living the life that they've lived with abuse and all that they start missing it when they're on their own. So they want to go back to the husbands. So we never stop them because we are not here to break any families. We make sure that even when they go back, we make sure that that safety barrier is always there to ensure that they are not abused anymore. Some of them have developed healthy relationships after that and moved on in life. Some of them sadly go through much more abuse before they hit our systems again and say that, oh my God, I wish I'd never gone back. So it all depends on the type of different cases.
So, since you have seen a lot of cases with domestic abuse, do you think it is because of male ego, and does it exist? And if it does, then how should women deal with it?
Okay, well, male ego in some cases is there. In some cases, it can be generated by the extended families, So it's not just male ego, it's also controlled by the in-laws. It depends on what sort of family it is. We can't just pinpoint on male ego. There are obviously quite a few cases where there's male ego, but we also get men contacting our service because they're also going through abuse by their wives as well. So it's just not just one side. So I think I'll be wrong if I say it's only male ego. But obviously, most of the cases it is because they want, some of them want to control their partners, and they would do anything to abuse them. So domestic abuse is not just a physical abuse, it's all about psychological abuse, financial abuse, physical abuse is there obviously, but psychological. So it's all about the well-being. That's what we are concerned about, the well-being of the woman, because it can impact anybody in a different way.
Yeah. So, with Saheli, do you have any upcoming projects or plans for the future?
Right, we continue to provide our services, specifically for all women, including domestic abuse, including mental health support service, counseling, advocacy, advice, support, and the training. In addition to our drop-in activities that women use and the talks that we have. Yeah, and we continue to provide that again and again.
So, since we saw that you were busy before this and then you took out time for us, how do you balance your personal and professional life?
Oh, I think I have now learned to grow with my professional life, and it has become part of my bloodline. Like so, balancing comes quite easily. But I think it's just my passion to support women and to make sure that whatever I can do to make even a little difference in their lives makes me a happier person.
So, as we are nearing the end of this episode, since it is success stories, I would like to ask you, what does success mean for you? Like, how would you define success?
A very nice question. Success. I don't think I've still achieved a success that I would want to. I mean, there's always a room for improvement. There's always something. So I won't say, oh my God, I'm very successful, because there is so much more to do in life. And I don't think I'm successful. So I want to make a difference in somebody's life. I want to make sure that there's good outcome in somebody's life, making sure that they have a better life than what they're going through. I mean, some people are very content with what they have. It's good luck to them. But there are some women who could do with a little more support. And if we can make a little difference to their lives, would be happier. And that is what is a success to me. Thank you.
This is something new because everyone has had a definition for success, and you, despite of everything that you do, you just said that you are not successful yet, because that in itself is a message that sky is the limit. There's always scope for
There is
improvement.
always room for improvement. There is. I would never say I'm perfect. So thank you. Thanks,
Yeah.
Alka.
Yeah. So, lastly, what is your message for the global audience?
I basically, life, you get only one life, make the most of it. Do not give up on life. There are times you go through challenges, you go through a lot of challenges. There will always be people to put you down. Do not let them do that. Do not let anybody walk over you, because there's always another way out, and there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Keep going. Like when you're climbing the steps, and there are always people who will try to pull you down. So if you look down and start going down, then it will be difficult to climb the steps. So just move on, and life can be better.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful message, because I think nowadays we forget that there's always another way out, and provided the pandemic, it has affected all of us mentally, and we come to think that maybe this is the end, and maybe there's nothing better than this. So that's really a nice message where everyone gets to know that it is not the end, and maybe working out or working in a different way will change things. So thank
Definitely.
you so much.
It does. It does. And I'm sure you'll agree that life is beautiful. Make the most of it. Thanks,
Thank you.
Alka.
Yeah. So thank you so much for
Is
joining
that
us
it?
today.
I am really pleased that Trident Communication has actually considered me to sort of include me as part of the success stories. I mean, Shiv and his better half have always been great in terms of promoting the community within UK and at a wider global level. And thank you for including me in part of these success stories. And I hope this does make a little difference to the communities outside my little shell, you know. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you so much to all the viewers who joined us today for this episode. And stay tuned for more such stories every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Till then, stay safe and bye bye.
Bye bye. Thanks.